On January 20th, 2025, as dawn broke over Washington, D.C., the nation braced itself for a historic re-inauguration at the Capitol Rotunda, a ceremony rich in tradition and steeped in the symbolism of American heritage. For generations, presidents had sworn their oaths with a sacred ritual, lowering their left hand onto a Bible as a pledge to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. However, as the ceremony unfolded, President Donald Trump shocked viewers across the nation. Instead of following this time-honored custom, he raised his right hand to recite the oath while his left hand remained casually at his side, deliberately not touching the two sacred Bibles held by First Lady Melania Trump, one a cherished gift from his mother, and the other the historic Lincoln Bible. This single deviation from tradition instantly ignited a firestorm of debate, with traditionalists and religious communities decrying the act as a blatant disregard for the moral foundations that have long united the country. The unexpected gesture reverberated instantly throughout the media and on social platforms, transforming what should have been a routine ceremonial moment into a national controversy. Headlines erupted, social media hashtags like #SacredSymbol and #HonorOurHeritage trended, and pundits questioned whether this minor act was a calculated rejection of sacred values or simply a personal quirk. For many, the Bible is not just a book, but a powerful symbol of unity and continuity, a symbol that, when disregarded, sends shockwaves through the collective conscience of a nation already divided by deep political and cultural fault lines. Determined to confront what he saw as a profound betrayal of sacred tradition, Reverend Michael, a dedicated and respected religious activist with deep roots in the community, resolved to act decisively. Fueled by both personal conviction and a sense of duty to the nation's moral fabric, Michael marched directly to the White House, demanding a private meeting with President Trump. In that charged encounter, with tension thick in the air, he fixed the president with unwavering eyes and declared, "Your refusal to honor our sacred tradition is a direct assault on the moral fabric that binds this nation." His clear, uncompromising words, delivered with passion and authority, cut through the formal decorum of the meeting and set the stage for what was to come. Not content with a private rebuke, Reverend Michael swiftly transformed his indignation into action by organizing a large, live-streamed prayer service on the White House lawn. The service was meticulously planned to bring together diverse members of the community, from devout congregants to modern reformists, in a collective effort to reclaim the lost values of unity and tradition. As voices rose in hymn and prayer, Michael's event not only reaffirmed the deep cultural significance of time-honored rituals, but also ignited a broader national dialogue. This bold move forced the country to confront the tension between modern leadership and age-old traditions, setting off a chain reaction that would eventually lead President Trump himself to address the controversy publicly in a bid to heal the nation's divisions. Within hours of the inauguration, the nation erupted in debate. Social media platforms were ablaze with hashtags like #ReclaimOurHeritage and #UnitedInFaith. On Twitter, users posted impassioned messages, some defending tradition, others championing personal freedom. In one viral tweet, a devout user wrote, "When our leader leaves our sacred symbol untouched, he cuts the very heart of our unity." Meanwhile, major news channels broadcast segments featuring the unfolding controversy, and opinion columns in top newspapers splashed headlines such as "A Nation Unmoored and Tradition Forsaken, the Cost of a Careless Gesture." In a bustling studio on live television, political commentators clashed. Trump's refusal to follow a time-honored ritual is not just a quirky habit, asserted conservative pundit Mark Reynolds. It's a bold rejection of the moral fabric that has bound this nation for centuries. Across the panel, liberal analyst Sarah Thompson countered, "While symbols matter, we must remember that our leader's duty is to uphold the Constitution, not to perform ceremonial acts. This is political theater, nothing more." Inside the White House, tension simmered. Michael Lawson, still reeling from the shocking moment, joined a spontaneous meeting in a private conference room with his colleague Jessica Martin, the seasoned communications director. "Michael, I've seen hundreds of emails on our internal network," Jessica said, her voice low yet urgent. "Some staff are furious. They see this as a direct insult to everything we hold sacred. Others believe it's nothing but personal flair. Michael shook his head. It's more than personal flair, Jessica. This isn't just about a gesture. It's about our collective identity. When Trump neglects our sacred tradition, it feels like a betrayal to everyone who believes in our heritage. The story soon exploded beyond the White House. In a small town in Pennsylvania, Samuel, a blue-collar worker, recounted his feelings at a local diner. I grew up hearing stories of how presidents swore on the Bible, he said to a friend. Now, when our leader refuses to honor that tradition, it's like our foundation is crumbling. Samuel's impassioned words were recorded on a smartphone and quickly spread online, further fanning the flames of debate. The pressure grew, and even Trump's staunch supporters began questioning if his modern approach was undermining the values they cherished. As criticism mounted from traditionalist voices and influential religious leaders, Trump's own media team reported that the president was reassessing his stance behind closed doors. In a dramatic, high-tension press conference on January 28, 2025, President Trump finally addressed the controversy. Standing before a sea of American flags and an attentive press corps, he declared, "I don't need a Bible to prove my commitment to our great Constitution. I stand by the oath I took to uphold the law and protect our freedoms. What matters most are the actions we take every day, not outdated rituals." His tone was firm, yet an undercurrent of something else, perhaps a hint of reconsideration, mingled with his words. The remarks drew cheers from his supporters on social media, yet critics remained unsatisfied, arguing that the president's dismissal of sacred symbols deepened the moral divide in a nation already in turmoil. As the national debate raged on, Reverend Michael's relentless advocacy began to bear fruit. In a bold and unprecedented move, President Trump invited Michael to a private meeting at the White House. In a quiet, formal room lined with historical portraits, Michael confronted Trump directly. "Mr. President," Michael began, his voice steady but laced with emotion, "your refusal to honor our sacred tradition isn't just a personal choice. It's a wound to the collective soul of our nation. Our shared heritage is built on these symbols, and when you dismiss them, you risk tearing us apart." Trump listened, his expression shifting from indifference to a rare look of introspection. After a long pause, he responded, "I understand now that my actions have hurt many who cherish these traditions. I never intended to cast aside what's sacred to this nation." His voice softened. "I promise to work with you and everyone who holds these values dear to heal these divisions." That day marked a turning point. Following the meeting, Trump arranged a high-profile press conference in which he publicly apologized for his earlier stance. "I offer my heartfelt apology to those who feel that I have neglected our sacred traditions," he said. "Our nation's strength comes from our commitment to the Constitution and to each other. I pledge to bridge this divide and honor our heritage through action, not just ceremony." Inspired by the president's apology, Reverend Michael organized an interfaith prayer service on the White House lawn. Under the soft glow of candlelight, people from every background, devout believers, skeptical modernists, and everyone in between, gathered in a display of unity. Michael's voice rang out clearly as he led the congregation in a moving hymn of hope and reconciliation. "Let us remember that our traditions are not chains to bind us, but roots that ground us. In our unity, we find strength. In our shared values, we discover hope. Together, we can mend the fractures in our soul." During the service, dialogues blossomed between generations and ideologies. At one point, an elderly congregant, tears in his eyes, whispered to Michael, "Your words remind me of my youth, of a time when we believed in a future united by our shared faith." A young college student, standing beside him, nodded in agreement, adding, "I used to think that symbols were outdated, but today, I see that they can evolve and still hold meaning." As the prayer service ended, the nation began to reflect. Town hall meetings and online forums erupted with discussions on the role of tradition in a modern society. Scholars published essays and hosted debates, arguing for a balanced approach that respected the past while embracing necessary change. Influential community leaders launched initiatives to integrate age-old values with contemporary civic life, emphasizing empathy, unity, and moral accountability. Back at the White House, Michael's values and vision workshops transformed internal conversations. Staff members, previously divided by their views, found common ground in discussing how to honor their heritage while addressing modern challenges. Jessica Martin, now a key collaborator in the initiative, remarked during one workshop, "We are the stewards of our nation's legacy." Let this moment remind us that true leadership is not defined by ceremonial symbols, but by our dedication to serve the people with integrity and compassion. Nearly a year later, in a final televised address, President Trump reaffirmed his commitment to this new course. "True leadership is built on both respect for our heritage and the courage to innovate," he declared. "I pledge to honor both our traditions and our future. Let us move forward together, united in our resolve to build a better America." In the wake of this transformative period, Reverend Michael penned a reflective essay that resonated across the country. "Our nation is not defined solely by the rituals of the past," he wrote, "but by the living, breathing commitment to truth, compassion, and unity that we all share. Today, we begin to rebuild those sacred bonds, not by clinging to the old, but by embracing a future where every voice matters." As time passed, the controversy over a single hand gesture evolved into a catalyst for change, a reminder that even the smallest actions can ignite a nationwide dialogue about who we are and what we stand for. The nation learned that while rituals may evolve, the core values of empathy, unity, and respect remain timeless, binding together a diverse and ever-changing people. In the end, this renewed covenant between leaders and citizens became a beacon of hope for a brighter, more inclusive future.